ask that the chaplain, Marty Autry, if you're online, please open us up in the invocation.
Yes, I will. My name is Chaplain Mary Autry.
Okay.
And good afternoon to everyone. Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for every panelist. Oh God, in the name of Jesus, I thank you for the board of the police commissioners. God, we lift up the city of Detroit, oh God. We're seeking your guidance. We're seeking your peace. Oh God, thank you for your wisdom that will flow through each and every leader, oh God, each and every dignitary, oh God. Thank you for unity in our hearts and in our minds, oh God, for the common good of the people. Bless the communities with safety and love, oh God, and thank you for love and compassion and harmony in this meeting, oh God. In Jesus' name we all said amen.
Amen. I apologize for that, Chaplain Mary.
That's okay.
Yeah. We don't have a quorum yet. We expect to have a quorum very, very shortly. And so I'll go to the secretary report.
The report for today, excuse me, the incoming communications can be found under tab 6 in your binders today, and they are as listed. Also note for your information, there are documents there that have been requested to be placed there. Next would be the announcements of the upcoming meetings. Next week, we will be next board meeting is next Thursday, March 13th, community meeting. It will begin at 6:30 p.m. The location will be in the 10th precinct at Union Carpenters and Millwright Skill Training Center, which is located at 11687 American Street in Detroit. The next community meeting thereafter will be Thursday, April 10th, 6:30 p.m. in the 9th precinct at Ford Resource Engagement Center, located at 15491 Madeline Street in Detroit. Upcoming committee meetings are as follows. The Citizens Complaints Committee will meet next Tuesday, March 11th at 4 p.m. in the Woodward Conference Room here at Public Safety Headquarters. Following that meeting, next Tuesday, is the Budget Committee in the Woodward Conference Room here at Public Safety Headquarters. And that will end the report for today, sir.
Thank you very kindly. We go to public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 speakers in the room, then 1 speaker in Zoom. We'll start first with Minister Eric Blunt. After Minister Blunt, it would be Lieutenant Mark Young.
Good afternoon, Board and Chief. I'm Minister Eric Blunt from Sacred Heart Catholic Church here in Detroit. Chief Bedison, I haven't seen you since your promotion, so congratulations. I think you're the right person for the job, if no other reason, but that you know this department, and as deputy mayor, you know the city. So I say that to say, you know the serious problems this police officer department has. Formal complaints to this board have doubled in the last 5 years. That should tell you something. People just don't complain about any little thing that goes on. It takes a lot of courage and fortitude to file a complaint because they know your name, they know where you live, they know the situation that happened. And false arrest is something that really has to be dealt with. And I'll even go back to Michael Jackson, that was arrested twice and then proven innocent of murdering the Jewish woman over in the Lafayette, Orleans area. And then probably equally as more disturbing, as my memory serves me, an officer called 911 for assistance, but then he requested that only the officers in his unit respond because he wanted to kill him. That's serious. Very, very serious. For the board, the ShotSpotter report. What measure of performance do you have? Not just general crime, but specific crimes that were solved because of ShotSpotter. The last report we got was about a year ago before it started up again, and it showed, 0.09% of guns recovered. And surely there was no report of any crimes actually solved by it. And that goes on with this whole surveillance system you guys got going on is more of a scam. Facial recognition technology. I'll just point you to one specific task that I can say shows what's really wrong with this whole surveillance system. For facial recognition technology, when COVID came and everybody was wearing a mask, mandatory, facial recognition technology had to have very little use.
Time.
I don't even see that up there.
Yes, it was up there. I gave you about 15 extra seconds.
Okay.
I just got alerted, I would have gave you a few more, but, I got alerted, so.
Oh.
I want to be fair to everybody. You want to respond, Chief?
All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Blunt, thank you. Look forward to working with you in my role as chief. And one of the things that I want to ensure that we do as well is get the information out in various different forms. And so I did a national search for a media director, a new media director. And we've selected one, and I did something a little bit different as well. So I didn't, because I'm not a media professional. But when we came to the interview process, I made sure that I got some media professionals to actually sit on the board to interview the media person to help me get the best person for the position.
All right.
And so with that, I just say that with ShotSpotter, you raised that as a concern. I know that there's been cases where ShotSpotter has led officers to the scene quickly enough to actually make an apprehension. It's been instances where the perpetrator was still on the scene trying to even dispose of a body. And so if we haven't got that out to you, we need to make sure that we're highlighting and uplifting those cases. But more importantly, ShotSpotter, because we know that when shots are fired, not always do people call 911. Shots have been fired, officers have responded and actually got there and found victims and got them to the hospital and saved lives. And so with the totality of getting this information out to the community so that they really understand the both sides of the technology, we have to do a better job as a department of getting information to you, to your groups, et cetera. And so that's why we need experts and others to make sure that we're telling our best story and getting information out. So just looking forward to working with you. And as far as citizen complaints being on the rise, maybe that's as we push information out in the Board of Police Commissioners and the Office of the Chief Investigator, educate the community and make them aware of different pathways to report. It may be a side effect, and I'm just saying may, I'm speculating, but it could be a side effect of making citizens know that the information is out there to report complaints, and maybe more folks are doing it that way. But regardless, we'll get to the bottom of it, and we'll be working to address it together, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Lieutenant, before we move on, and we'll let him. How many more that we have on the inside?
Ms. Smith?
Ms. Smith, okay, let's do all the ones on the end, then move on. All right,
Good evening. Some of my members.
good evening.
Some of my members have approached me and they're concerned about how the Board of Police Commissioners think of them. And you know what my response is? Do not be concerned about how the board thinks of you. You go out there with excellence and you do the best that you can. Be more concerned about how the citizens of the city think of you. Because I'm gonna tell you how they think of you. They think the world of you. The same people that will come before you and vilify you are the same ones that won't whisper on the phone, but know 911 well. Out of all the phone I pulled, all the calls for service that we answered last year, those people weren't afraid of the police. Those people aren't concerned They embrace the police. I know my neighbors are so grateful because I live in Detroit. There's so many police officers pull up and down my street. They are grateful, they are thankful, and they tell me so. It's easy to talk about the negative from a pastor, from a bishop, from an anointed one. Let's talk about the positive that we do. This department has an outstanding relationship with this community. You don't hear that enough. They bend over backwards every day. You have men and women that were so concerned about the homeless and other things. You don't see that because that body-worn camera footage is not requested. The generosity of this department and these men and women is tremendous. I never hear the board talk about that. It's easy to vilify. Last story. I was in a dark place and I went to Jesus and I said how bad things was. And Jesus spoke to me. And you know what he said? He said, Mark, there's billions of people on this planet. You hear about a few incidents. But I send good people. That's why I send you. That's why I send the people that you represent. There's a small amount of people that do wrong. There's no perfect organization. There's no perfect people. But I represent some awesome people. Thank you.
Mother Smith?
Thank you. You got this thing too far from me. Good afternoon.
Good
And I
afternoon.
am thrilled to see my chief here, because I haven't seen him since he escorted me. I got to tell it. I can't keep it quiet. You all know we lost a chief, Chief Knox,
Yeah.
and I didn't see none of you there. But anyway,
You
I'm
said
not gonna
one of
fuss
us
about
there.
it.
You
It
said
was,
one of us there.
You saw one of you? All right. Well, anyway. I called the chief. I had the nerve to do it because my granddaughter didn't come and get me. And I said, Chief, I need a car. And he said, okay, I'll send you an Uber. I said, an Uber? What's that? But anyway, I listened to him and what he said. He said, I'll send you a car. I said, all right. He said, be ready by 10. I said, okay, I will. I rushed and got dressed and everything. And I'm sitting there. I live on the first floor there. And I'm sitting there because I can look out the window and see a car. Saw the car pull up, this black car pull up. And I got out with my walker and everything. And I said, who did I see sitting in the car but our chief? I was so astonished. I didn't know what to do. And his driver came around and escorted me, folded up my folder and put it in the car. And he helped me in the car. I said, what did I do to deserve this? But God is good, y'all. I don't know how good he is to you guys, but he's darn good to me because whatever I ask for, whatever I try to do, he opens up the door for me. And I was so appreciative to my chief escorting me to the church. And there were about 30 steps going up the steps. I couldn't walk up the steps, so I told the driver, I said, you go ahead and fold it up. Chief said, how you going to get up there? Well, we didn't go around the side of the church because it was stairs over there, one of the chief told me. But anyway, I said, well, I'll go up the steps. God's going to help me go up the steps. So I went up about 30 steps. I held a banister, and I went up the steps, chief behind me. And then one of the women officer, I don't know who she was, but I'm thankful to her. She had my purse, and she helped me. And when we get in, everybody was looking at me. I thought I was a millionaire. Do you hear me? And I kissed Knox, his wife, because I know him. And we go and sit down, and who comes behind us but the chief from Southfield? Barron. Mother Bernice, good to see you.
3 seconds.
What?
3 seconds.
Anyway, this is the first time I saw him since the funeral, and I am so grateful to you, baby. I appreciate you so much, not only because you're the chief of this city. I knew you was going to be the chief. But let me tell you this right quick. 2 young men, you got to give it to them.
We gotta
they want to
move
become
on,
a police. They met me at the hospital last week, and they want to become a police.
I'll get it
Let
from
me
you
know
right
about
after
that.
this.
I'll
Okay.
get with you about it. I got their names. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
again.
much.
Come on. You got another police at school.
Amen. Please call the roll.
God is good, y'all.
Commissioner Woods,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Banks?
Present.
Commissioner Bell?
Present. District
Commissioner Burton?
Present, District 5.
Commissioner Moore is excused. Commissioner Presley?
Here.
Commissioner DeWalsh?
Present.
7 present, sir.
We have a quorum. I entertain a motion for the approval of March 6, 2025 agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner DeWalsh,
Second.
second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, the motion is carried. I entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes for February 27, 2025.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Presley,
Support.
supported by Commissioner DeWalsh. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, the motion is carried. Let's go to the Chief of Police report.
Have the introduction of staff.
And is everybody here? But introduction of the staff and so on and so forth.
Present BOPC staff, Attorney Goss, Chief Investigator Warfield, Drew Freeze, Felicia Tyson, Teresa Blossom, Candace Hayes, Armesia Joshua, Janya Underwood, Investigative Supervisor Elgin Murphy, Dr. Francis Jackson, Parliamentarian, DPD HR Director Katrina Patillo. Interpreters today are Ms. Yakata and Dr. Beatty. Court reporter Don Handyside, audiovisual Enrique Jackson, and media services video Charles Henry. Elected officials and representatives registered thus far are as follows: Marie Overall of Office of State Representative Tyrone Carter, Freesia Butler, President, 2nd Precinct, Community Relations, LaDon Davis, Office of City Council Member Fred Durhall III, Lieutenant Mark Young, President of Lieutenants and Sergeants Association, Ron Thomas, President, Detroit Police Officers of America, and former Detroit Police Commissioner William Davis are registered at this time, sir.
Yep, and former Police Commissioner Bernice Smith. Yeah, she's a former police commissioner as well.
Chairman, do you have a report?
No. I don't have a report.
Through the chair.
Yes.
There is no evidence that Bernice Smith was ever a police commissioner. There's nothing in the records that state that, and that question has been raised before. And Robert Brown, who once worked for the board, couldn't find anything in the records for that.
Okay. All right. Moving right along. Let's go to the Chief of Police report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the Honorable Board of Police Commissioners. Before I just jump into the overall crime statistics, I want to say that over the past weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something that doesn't happen too often, but we didn't have a homicide or we didn't have a non-fatal shooting. And so that's something, and as we knock on wood, but I really don't need to knock on wood. I just give it to the amazing team that we have in the community, and even the technology and all of the investment. It's a cumulative of everything that's continuing our downward trend in crime. So when I say community, I'm talking about CVI is just all of us. Homicides, right now, we're compared to the same period of last year, we're at a 24% reduction. And so we know it's early yet, and to our community, they say, well, whole numbers, for the year, we're sitting at 22 right now, compared to the same period of time as of last year, it was 29. So that's 7%, 7 fewer people at this particular point. Sexual assaults, which is concerning to everyone, 33% reduction. Aggravated assault, 12% reduction. And so in all of our violent Part 1 categories, I got green arrows that I'm looking at, and I'm pretty sure the board has that as well, but that is a good thing, meaning we're down in all categories. Robberies, which is a violent offense as well, 17%. Burglary, which is, definitely affects us where a home invasion, someone's coming in your home, 13%, almost 14%. Larcenies, where somebody's taking something from you, That's 19% reduction. And then another particular crime that affects our Detroiters as well, where someone when your vehicle, 28% reduction. So in terms of what that means, is 401 people that still has their vehicles this year compared to last year. Violent Part 1 crime overall, 14% reduction. Property crime, 21% reduction. And when it comes to non-fatal shootings, 22% reduction. And carjackings, a 36% reduction. So we're definitely off to a good start, trending down in the right direction when it comes to violent crime. Some of the things else that has occurred, reaching out to the community, our neighborhood police officers over at the 12th precinct, they went and read to the kids. And so they visited the Bagley Elementary School, the Greenfield Union to engage with reading. Detroit police officers, they're going to be doing an empowerment walk. And that's going to be this Friday at the corner ballpark, March 7th, from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we invite anyone who wants to come out and walk. I know the weather, it won't be as warm as we would like it to be, but dress warm and let's come out and support our ladies, our women. We're continuing to recruit, and it's a good time to be a Detroit police officer. And so even though we're at 98, roughly 99% of full staff rate, we know that it's attrition, it's a large department, and so we're always looking for good individuals. And so our recruiting team went out to several events over the past week. We did a career fair at Wayne State University. And if you want to meet our recruiters, they're going to be at the Women's Empowerment Walk at the Detroit Public Safety Headquarters. Well, I think that's a mistake right there. So they're going to be at the corner ballpark, unless Director Patillo can give me a little bit more information on that. Director, where are we going to be at for the recruitment thing? Somebody from recruiting? Or HR? Okay, well, I will make sure that we update that, because if somebody wants to get hired, I would definitely want them to go to the exact right place. And then one of the things that's a community top concern and that I pledge to be on as well is traffic enforcement. And so the 8th Precinct did a traffic enforcement blitz on March 5th. 41 traffic citations were issued. They impounded 4 vehicles and really focusing on vehicles with no plates as well. It's no secret that oftentimes when a violent crime is committed, before individuals want to do that crime, they do things to obscure their plates. And so we're really focusing on that. And then I don't know if you all saw on television, Captain Star Gonzalez did an excellent report, and they did some great work over there with addressing a quality of life type issue. And I think that, I know when I saw the video, and I'll say that a community member sent me a video that was captured on a Ring doorbell, and it was of some thieves in a U-Haul truck in broad daylight just walked up to a residence and stole some gutters off the house. And that just was so bizarre to me. And I imagined them taking my gutters off my house. And it just really made me mad. I called the captain. She put a detail in place. And by utilizing some of that technology, license plate readers, they were actually able to track down that U-Haul. And we got the 3 perpetrators. We got them arrested. We got the gutters back. And they featured that story on the news yesterday. So if nobody saw it, make sure you pull that up. And we got those gutter thieves right there. Just doing a phenomenal job out there, doing great work, the men and women of DPD. And I'm not going to say much about this, but, the medical examiner's report did come back from the 2 children that tragically lost their lives over at the casino parking lot there in the parking structure. And so from a DPD standpoint, I don't do charging decisions. We'll turn over the evidence and things of that nature to the Wayne County prosecutor. But Madam Prosecutor Worthy ultimately will make the determination when it comes to whether or not it'll be any charges in regards to that case. And with that, that concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions? Commissioner Banks.
Thank you, through the chair. Chief Bedison, first of all, congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you, sir.
Because promotion don't come from man. You know that, right?
Yes, sir.
You're a man of God.
Yes.
Promotion comes from the Lord.
Amen.
And congratulations. But what I want to ask Chief Bedison, yeah, I take church with me everywhere I go. Mr. Former Chair, everywhere. You know you my man, right? Huh?
Speak through the chair. Speak through the chair.
All right. Chief, what's the difference between a taser and a stun gun? Give me the difference, please, between a taser and a stun gun. Two different names.
Through the chair.
I know I just asked it last week. I wasn't satisfied with the answer, though.
Okay.
And I'm coming right back.
Through the chair. The chief is going to answer.
Yep. Through the chair. I don't want to be incorrect.
Okay.
And so I've always, and I haven't researched this, but a stun gun and a taser, with language, the words could possibly be used synonymously. So, and then you can have various tasers that have different voltage. And so I will have to get back with you on that one right there, because I've never researched it. The taser versus the stun gun. But so I will circle back around unless there's someone in here who knows the answer. So I will phone a friend right now with my command folks in the back. You know, like if I was
Hey, Google.
Yep, Google. Google may be able to tell me, but
Right.
Deputy Chief
Okay.
Bliss, is he in, or Parrish? We're about to get you that answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chief.
As the chief indicated, there could be many, many different varieties of stun guns, and depending on how it's being used, it could mean a taser or it could mean an off-brand weapon. But the principal difference is this: a taser is scientifically designed to override your neurological system, to in effect seize your body so that you can no longer move physiologically. A stun gun is there to cause immense pain. Okay, so it's not scientifically designed to actually to disable you or to immobilize you. A stun gun is usually just there to burn you, to cause pain, to get you to back off. Stun guns are illegal in many states, but a taser is different principally in that regard.
Through the chair,
Yeah.
Commissioner, does that answer your question?
So they do two different things based on
They
the
both-
knowledge what came out of your mouth. It appears that they do two different things, Jen. Is that correct, Commander?
They both conduct energy through an individual's person. A taser is scientifically designed for a particular purpose, to immobilize your body. Okay, a stun gun does not have the voltage nor the connectivity to really immobilize your body in most circumstances. Again, there are many different brands of stun guns out there. They are illegal in different states. But the thing that sets the taser apart is that it is scientifically designed for law enforcement to immobilize a person's body by overriding their neurological system.
Okay, I got it. I'm satisfied now. Thank you. Good job.
I think they both cause pain. Yep.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
They do cause pain, yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'm satisfied now. Thank you.
You're done?
I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Bernard?
Just quickly, it's a pleasure to see you, Chief. It's for all of us in this room and for our community. Just two things real quickly in terms of your announcements in your communication section. You have now officially declared that there is a, quote, code blue in the city of Detroit when the temperature is 20 degrees or below?
That's a city standard, and
Oh,
so
I thought
yeah.
that was your standard, 'cause
No,
it's here, okay.
No. That's set by the city of Detroit, and so the Housing Revitalization Department, and with Code Blue is many different entities that that came to putting that in place, and based off of research and what's good. So that's really coming from the mayor in the city of Detroit, and we all, whether it's housing revitalization, the Detroit Police Department, the Detroit Health Department, City of Detroit Homeland Security, we all work to ensure that we are working to ensure that our citizens, when it's a cold blue, that we're getting them out of the elements and that we can get them to shelter.
Wonderful.
The good part, I mean, I'm going to ask that our office reprint this for the next meeting on blue paper. And it might be a good idea for us to put it in the precincts as well, because you have about 15 different centers where people can go when it is 20 degrees or less, that are already printed with addresses and everything and their hours. So this is like a public, maybe even a PSA you might want to do in, on TV to let people know that this code blue, what the code blue situation is and what the facilities are. But my second question is one that I asked that you explain to us and to the community, and that is, what was FAST, F-A-S-T?
Fugitive Apprehension Service Team. And so that's our officers that, when individuals have outstanding warrants, they typically go after violent offenders, individuals wanted for non-fatal shootings, homicide suspects, robbery suspects, where the prosecutor has secured a warrant via a judge and that they're on the run. And so they are actively out there working to bring those violent offenders off the street. That's what they do day in and day out. They serve as warrants.
But this is a multi-jurisdictional project with the state police, it says, I guess the federal government. I don't know. You have a lot of partners
Absolutely.
in FAST that we don't routinely have for ordinary crime.
Yeah, and that's what allows us to be able to go anywhere we need to go to actually get those individuals, because when folks are on the run, we even work with the United States Marshals, and so regardless of where you go, you could be in Alabama or wherever, we'll go to where we need to go to make sure that we apprehend folks who have done bad things in the city and hold them accountable. And with that, that's another factor that contributes towards our decrease in crime, getting the right individuals off the street, holding them accountable. And right before Christmas, we executed a large fugitive apprehension warrant sweep. What did we call that? What was the name of the sweep? Because we have a nice name too. It had a holiday ring to it. It was Operation. We always give these big ones a name. So yeah, but we'll make sure that we get that to you. But it was a catchy name.
Thank you.
Commissioner Banks.
This gonna be real quick, Chair, real quick.
Okay.
Chief Bettison, when the officers are out on the streets, when it's freezing out there, 10 degrees and all that, are they taking citizens to warming shelters? That's all I want to know.
Yes.
They are? They picking them up and taking them to warming shelter?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right. Commissioner Presley.
Thank you, through the chair.
Yes,
Chief,
sir.
I have two questions. The first is a conversation we were having with your predecessor, and I just want to make sure that it's been handed off and maybe you can provide some update. And it was around the challenges with communication to citizens, particularly those who had cases with detectives, and they were saying that they're not getting responses back and they're having a hard time getting any feedback. And so I just wanted to know if there's any update on improving the efficiency in responding back to citizens, whether it's through the homicide department or the detectives.
Matter of fact, I just met with, and through the chair, thank you for the question, Commissioner Priestley, just met with mothers keeping the boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yesterday.
so that's, yesterday, matter of fact, right in the room. And so we have in constant communication. My former predecessor, now call him CEO White, but at the time, Chief White, he formed our family unit. And their sole purpose is really to ensure that they're communicating with our homicide detectives, and that also they're calling back and keeping in close contact with the point of contact that was selected by the family to be the representative to receive information when it comes to our non-fatal shootings and our homicides. And so they keep a meticulous log of it. You'll still always at various points hear where a family member says, hey, I didn't get a call. But when we go back through the log and we have the conversations, it's like, were you the point of contact? And we're going to continue with that. And we're working towards continuously improving it. And so it's an ongoing process, but thus far I'm happy with it. And we're going to continue to build on to it and take feedback from those various family members as how we can continuously improve it as well. But we are, and it's a top priority for me, and so much so that when it comes to family members that have their cases that are still unsolved, because we know the cases will go cold. I've actually already assigned additional officers to our cold case unit. And so I'm going to continue to do that. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to is with our budget, et cetera, identifying and putting some positions in where I can look to hire some retired detectives part-time to further enhance our cold case unit. And so everything that I can do looking back to bring forth additional eyes and enhance that aspect of it, I'll be doing. And I'm communicate that with the families. And so I'll be able to keep the board updated. But that's something that's always been very near and dear to me when it comes to cold case and traffic enforcement. And even I'll be able to report out on what we're going to be doing as far as enhancing when it comes to missing children, et cetera, human trafficking. And I'll keep you updated with that.
Thank you. And the second question through the chair. I know there should have been conversations between our board secretary, OCI, and the department relative to disciplinary actions that are taken with officers who have sustained cases. The data that we've been receiving has kind of been aggregate, to say this number got counseling, this number had this sort of disciplinary action, but it doesn't really give us the detail according to which officer or which case. And so we were hoping to get a little bit more detail in that regard so that we're aware on the particular sustained cases what disciplinary action was taken. And so again, I just wanted to see if you can provide some update on whether or not that's something we can expect to receive moving forward.
I'll need to really understand a little bit more, but I'm willing to sit down and have a meeting and so that I really understand what the ask is, so that I know what that is per se. So, but yeah, let's discuss it.
Because right now we just kind of get an aggregate number, so we can't tie it to a particular case. So say, for instance, we have a sustained case where officer, let's say, violated the policy on demeanor. We don't get a sense on what was the actual disciplinary action taken on that officer. We just get a general aggregate number on how many officers went to counseling, how many officers had peer support, how many officers were suspended, or how many officers, I don't know what all of those categories are. But if we can actually assign those to the particular cases, and that gives us a little bit more confidence on what's actually being done with sustained cases that we're seeing through our OCI investigations.
Okay, so let's have a single purpose meeting on it, and we'll be able to come to some type of a agreement or conclusion with it. Because without me fully, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I need to really fully see it and understand. So when I look at the report, I need to know what you're getting now versus what the ask is.
We get nothing right now. The fact of the matter is, this is far as for public trust and far as for the process, to make sure that this process is an authentic process and we are not spinning the wheel, that these CCRs, when they are sustained and sent back over to the department, that there's some corresponding action to it. And what that corresponding action is to that specific case. We right now have a database right now that tracks all of that stuff being dumped, and the public have the right to know what happened to their particular case.
Okay.
Yep, and so sorry, through the chair, I sympathize with you wanting to actually see what we're talking about. And so we do have a citizens complaint committee that is scheduled for the 11th. And I don't know if someone from your department or you might be able to be present, and we can have that to be a single focus issue as we attempt to try to be better at responding to the citizens on what disciplinary actions have actually been taken.
So with that, I'll check my calendar and do everything that I can to be there on the 11th, and I would like to personally be there so that I can see it with my own eyes. So I look forward to being there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very kindly. Commissioner Burton, then Commissioner Smith.
I want to first start off by congratulating Chief Todd Edison for the hard work that his men and women in blue are doing in the department. I look up and I read these stories about how officers out in Southwest Detroit and the broken water main break, but you had officers out there helping people evacuate from their homes, walking through, water that's, as tall as your car. And, this cannot be an easy job for the men and women in blue, for this department. It cannot, can't be an easy job. But those men and women in blue, just helping people. I mean, evacuate from their homes. People thanking and thanking the Detroit Police Department for their help. I would love to see the department acknowledge and recognize those members, as well as we as a board, by offering some tribute or certificate appreciation for their work. Me personally, I'm not walking through that kind of water, but those men and women in blue went out there and they helped a lot of families. I'm more so concerned about the long-term health of those officers and those families. That water, it was sewage water. It was the water main break. I mean, all the pollution and stuff. I'm more concerned about their health long term. It may not have any effect today, but what about 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And I don't know if it's anything we can do to lobby with the state to come here and help fund this department or to refund that community. But we had Harbor Master, we had the 4th Precinct, we had SRT, and you had community associations and CB radio patrols. We had so many different community groups and so many different members of the department. I would love to see SRT, Harbor Masters, 4th Precinct, and those neighborhood associations be recognized by this board, but also by this great department. We must remember those names of those brave officers that went out there on that week and help rescue those families. It was not an easy job. Somebody had to do it, and I can't see any other city going out there to do what the Detroit Police Department went out there to do, and they rescued families, and they still helping families to this day. And I want to just say thank you to our chief, Todd Edison. I always said I have 5 favorite chiefs in the U.S. And Chief Todd Edison, our chief, even when he was a deputy assistant chief, he was always in that top 3. And so now we had to We got our chief sitting right here, leading this department and leading our community. This is the future of policing right here, is with Chief Todd Edison. Chief, thank you for the work your men and women are doing out there helping families.
Thank you, sir.
It wasn't easy, but I've heard a lot of the stories from a lot of families that's been reaching out.
Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, and let's, is
Mr.
that?
Chair,
Yes.
I just want to say one thing. If we're going to honor the people who helped, we should include the fire department as well, because they helped with DPD. That's my only point. They were out there putting people in boats and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Let the record reflect that Commissioner Carter is present. And let's go back to oral communications.
Through the chair, I got one right quick.
All right.
I want to ask Chief something.
All right. Very briefly, because we got a heavy agenda, some closed door sessions.
Will do. Chief, you just taken over for Chief White. We got 9 more months to go in the year. What are some of your goals and things you want to achieve? Because you know, when a new administration come in, they have goals they want to achieve. They want to make new accomplishments. What are some of those goals that you want to achieve, if you can put it out to the community? Or if you want to, you know, I don't know if you can put it out, but can you put some of them out? Maybe 2 or 3?
Did you release your plan that you talked about at the?
No, I have not, but through the chair to the commissioner, so at next week's next week's Board of Police Commissioners meeting, I can do a quick rundown of my 30, my 60, my 90-day plan. But of course, every chief does do a reorganization. So when it comes to the board, I definitely will be submitting my reorg plan to you as well. Some of it's already happening when it comes to traffic enforcement. I'm talking about it. You see, I've already started with additional traffic enforcement. When it comes to narcotics, that's a thing as well. So I've already added additional units to major crimes, our narcotics unit, and we're doing more raids as of right now. Missing persons, I'm beefing that up. When it comes to cold case, that's another thing. I'm adding additional officers to our cold case unit. And so things like that. I want you to know that when you ask me what's my priorities are the community's priorities. So what the community is concerned about, that's what I'm concerned about, and that's what we're doing. Another thing is continuing crime going down. So with our officers, you know, when I took over as interim chief, making sure that with the work that James Whitehead did, the men and women of this department, with crime already on the trajectory down, under Todd Edison, I wasn't gonna let it go up. It got to keep going down. So
Right.
otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here as the chief.
Not at all.
Right.
So I got a whole lot for you that I want to roll out. Okay.
I'm interested in hearing it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very kindly.
I'm all set, Chair.
Let
Thanks,
us
Chief.
move forward. Let's
I
move
am, but
forward.
this is
2
important.
seconds. 2 seconds.
2 seconds. There's a women's empowerment walk tomorrow at
Okay.
March the 7th at 11:30 a.m. We start at the Corner Ballpark, Detroit PAL at 1680 Michigan. So any woman who wants to walk tomorrow, I'm sure that Kyra will be there. She's always leading the parade.
He's speaking to the chief, though.
Oh, through the chief.
Through the chair to the chief.
And to the, right. So I just want the whole community to know that come on out and walk tomorrow. I'm going to be there, and I hope everyone who can will be there as well. Thank you, Mr.
Is it
Chair.
just for women?
Yes, it's a women's walk.
Go, chief.
No, men can support the ladies. So no, it's for everybody, but we're there supporting women.
Okay.
Amen.
I'll accept that.
Oral communications.
Mr. Chair, you have 5 speakers in Zoom. Our first speaker is Ms. Julie Lyman, then former Commissioner William Davis, Crafty Rue, and then we'll continue.
You may speak. You may be heard. Caller?
Hello.
Yes, you may be heard.
Good afternoon. I do apologize. My name is Juliet Lyman, and this is my second time being on the Zoom and joining you guys. And I'm here on the behalf of my husband, Cora Lyman. I was referred by Council President's office to speak with one of the commissioners who I don't think is joining you guys today.
I'm here.
His name-
This Daryl Woods.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I found out here recently by contacting the office again, Council President's office again, to see if any other commissioners could assist me, and they said yes. So I'm here again to see if someone could reach out to me so that I could go in more depth about what I need assistance with, if possible.
Okay. Do you have my telephone number?
No, sir. I'm not sure who I'm speaking with.
It's Commissioner Woods.
Commissioner Woods, no, I don't have your number. I have the office number, but I'm not able to get
Give her my
anybody.
number offline. Can you get that, direct that to her? And so when this meeting is over with, you can call me.
Yes, sir. I do appreciate that. Do I need to stay on the Zoom or?
Do she need to? Yes. You don't need to stay there. They have your information. And so,
Okay.
so call, continue to watch the meeting. When the meeting is over with, give me
Yes.
about 10 minutes, and then give me a call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, next caller.
Good afternoon. Could I be heard?
You may be heard, sir.
Okay, let me start off by saying I'd like to invite, let people know that the fact that the Detroit Retiree Task Force is meeting tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. or maybe a little bit later. For those who do not know, the task force, one of the things we're doing, we're looking at a 13th check for City of Detroit General Fund retirees and police and fire retirees. And that's going to be, the 13th check is going to be on the agenda and other things. So if anybody's interested as a city retiree, be it general fund or police and fire, tune in. It'll be on Zoom and also in person. Also, I would like to see more emphasis on the Board of Police Commissioners on helping to recruit, especially recruit Detroit residents. I know at the time that I was on the board, there was a couple commissioners that was actively involved in recruiting. I do not hear anything about recruiting in the city of Detroit like I used to. Also, I would like to see the Detroit Police Department take a more active role again in the Michigan Roundtable Metro Detroit ALPAC, because there was some officers that was joining. I know in the past even the chief used to join, well, the current chief used to join. But, you know, we would like to see more people because we want to make sure that the community and law enforcement have a better working relationship, because there's a cross-section of people from various governmental entities to be part of that ALPAC, and community leaders, community resources, and community people want to know what's going on and have a better exchange with the law enforcement community. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly. Next speaker. Next speaker.
Pay close attention, dear Woods. Chief Bettis, I would like to congratulate you and commend you. Assistance you provided for Nene, not for me, for Nene, it's been well received, and again, I'd like to thank you. Commissioner Cedric Banks, I was also like to thank you. Now, dear Woods, they don't call me Rue, Black Bag Rue, Motor City Rue, Mr. Rue, for nothing. Pay close attention.
I hope you're not threatening me, man. I hope that you.
Man, shut up. Willie Bell, the Detroit tapes outline the whole circumstance of you, Lawrence Akbar, and Melanie White. That's the Detroit tapes. That's what I call the collection I'm going to release the whole collection. I got 5 copies spread throughout the country of everything. So if anything was to happen to me, it's still coming out. Now, Tamara Liberty Smith and Daryl Woods, Kanisha Coleman didn't shoot herself. I done told y'all that. Now I'm going to really demonstrate it to everybody. Charmaine McLeod did it. And I got a 40-year reputation of being stand-up 100. I don't put stuff out my mouth unless I can stand on it. And I done told both y'all that. Now y'all getting ready to see what I'm talking about. Billy Bell, it's about over with for you.
Thank you very kindly. Next speaker.
That is your last speaker, Mr. Chair.
Praise the Lord. Let's. I'm gonna shut up. Let's go to the presentation of the board because we have some serious closed door sessions that we need to attend to.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Before we move into that, can I say a couple words real quick?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that you got a lot of commissioners on this board, and I really want to speak to the public right now. We got a lot of commissioners on the board that does a lot of work, a lot of hard work in their communities, including one of our past chairs, Commissioner Willie Bell in District 4. Commissioner Bell has attended pretty much every graduation of a new officer that comes on board with this department. Just, very knowledgeable about the department. This is where he retired from. But he does a lot of good work in his district, in the community. So a lot of times you don't see what commissioners are doing. They got their sleeves rolled up. They busy here in meetings, but also in their communities. You talk about, someone mentioned about police recruitment. Commissioner Bell has always been pushing recruitment, along with Commissioner Carter. Once again, you don't always see the work that commissioners do, but commissioners are busy, working their districts, working in these meetings, preparing, before these meetings occur. And so I just wanted to say, Commissioner Bell is a great commissioner, great person, but the thing about it is he does a lot of work, a lot of good work, and I think the community needs to sit down with him. I mean, and talk with him, learn about the history, learn about how we can make things better. This is a great man right here, and I had the opportunity to sit with him these past 12 years, and I have learned a lot from Commissioner Bell as well. And so this is a good man. I just want the community to know that. I vouch for him, for his leadership, and he's a good man. Does a lot of good work in the community that he actually runs circles around a lot of us, trust me.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right. Thank you very kindly. Let's go to the technology utilization and efficacy gunfire detection report. We on a roll today.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners of this Honorable Board. Good afternoon, Chief.
You may be heard. You got 2.5 minutes.
I'll go as quickly as I can. Yes, sir. We're just waiting for the slides to come up.
Right. Good guy, too. Thank you for all your hospitality and for us, the various citizens of the city of Detroit who has come in to be able to see the Real-Time Crime Center. You have been a great sport in that regard, and it's been phenomenal in that space.
Thank you, Chair. We're always happy to explain everything to members of the community who come in.
Yeah, and speak in the microphone for Commissioner Bernard.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I have to lean down a little bit. Can we go to the next slide, please? I'll go through this part a little quickly. ShotSpotter has been around for a while. We've talked a little bit. We've talked plenty about it. But just to go back to the beginning, what is ShotSpotter? ShotSpotter uses audio sensors to locate, detect and locate gunshots that are fired within the coverage area that we've defined. They are then able to provide alerts to the police department, allowing us to more quickly respond to aid victims, identify witnesses, collect evidence, and then potentially identify suspects and prosecute them. Next slide, please. So what does this mean? How does this work? A basic overview. So ShotSpotter uses an array of acoustic sensors. They're spread throughout the coverage area with the goal of being able to triangulate the location of impulsive sounds, right? So concussive and impulsive sounds. Now, that can be a gunshot, that can be fireworks, that can also be a car backfiring. Once that sound is captured, the audio of that is analyzed by a machine learning algorithm that ShotSpotter developed. Then that classifies that sound into a variety of categories, whether it was a gunfire, whether it was a car backfiring, whether it was a firework or some other sound. That information is then reviewed by an analyst in one of ShotSpotter's incident review centers. They confirm what the algorithm has determined. They may add some additional information to that they are able to determine from listening to the audio, and they push that alert to the police department, usually within about 60 seconds. And why is this important? National studies suggest that less than 20% of shots fired, not shootings at people, just generally speaking, gunshots are reported to 911. It's important because firing a gun within the city limits is a violation of the ordinance. Firing a gun at somebody is obviously a much more serious crime, and it's important that DPD be able to respond quickly to all of those incidents, whether they're reported by citizens or not. There's a lot of reasons why citizens may choose not to report them. I can think either they've just gotten used to it, which is a horrible thought, or potentially they don't want to get into a dispute with a neighbor who has shown a proclivity to discharge a firearm. Next slide, please. So this is a map of where we have coverage. The darker green portions here show the original 2 coverage areas that we implemented in March of 2021. The lighter green areas have been added in. So the total coverage we have is approximately 39 square miles across 9 of our 11 police precincts. And any of those shaded areas represents the current coverage area. Coverage areas were picked through a data-driven process where we identified zones with higher than average shooting victims, higher than average calls to 911 reporting shootings, and higher than average calls reported to 911 for shots fired. Next slide, please. So this is a look at weekly ShotSpotter alerts since April 10th of 2023. And the reason we're starting the slide on April 10th is this is approximately when the expansion to 39 square miles was completed. And so all of these weekly counts are being collected from the same square miles. If we went back further, we'd see lower counts simply because we had less coverage area. So we're looking at 2023. We saw an average of about 350 alerts for shots fired each week. And in 2024, we saw that come down substantially to about 240 alerts for shots fired. Now, you notice the gap there in the middle. We have excluded the 2 weeks surrounding New Year's Eve and New Year's Day from this graph. There were such a staggering number of shots fired alerts caught during that time that it would throw off this entire graph and we wouldn't really be able to see any patterns at this scale. Those weeks, the week of New Year's Eve, approximately 2,000 alerts in that week, most of them coming from those 2 days. So we have seen behavior changing within the area. We're seeing less people going out and firing shots. And why is this important? One, there is, we hope an overall effect as part of our layered technology approach to reducing overall crime throughout the city. And I think we have seen that year after year now as we have worked to increase in our leveraging of these technologies. We've seen these declines, but also from a public health standpoint, a public safety standpoint, the impact on children growing up with constant gunfire. Right, if we can reduce that, we can make a difference in early childhood development as well. Next slide, please. So, looking at some overall metrics for 2024 compared to 2023. In 2024, the total published alerts were 14,695, and in 2023, the total was 18,065. So we are seeing a decline in detected gunfire within the city. Now, I think it's also important to remember that in 2023, between January 1st and April 10th, we didn't have that full coverage area. So we only had partial area throughout that. And so even with that, right, where we had a shorter amount of time in 2023 with that full coverage area, we're still seeing a substantial decrease. The total number of rounds fired that were detected in those, right, were over 63,000 in 2023, and we're down to 54,000 in 2024. So we're seeing a decrease, a substantial decrease in the number of shots actually fired. And now when it comes to enforcement stats, right, so for arrests that are connected to these ShotSpotter alerts, in 2023, there were 401. In 2024, there were 373. And for firearms that were recovered that were connected to ShotSpotter alerts, in 2023, there were 708. In 2024, 596, right? We're seeing a decline, partially at least driven by the decline in those alerts. I also think it's important, if you look at these numbers, right, we're in completely different magnitudes. We're in, tens of thousands for those first two rows, and we're in hundreds for the second two rows. There is not, firing a gun is not an arrestable offense, right? It's a violation of the ordinance, which is dealt with a ticket. So those arrests are for much more serious crimes that are connected to these alerts. And then next slide, please. So why is this? Another reason this is important, right? Many of you may be familiar with NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. It's a program here, an exceptional program here, DPD from the ATF. All of our bullet casings that we collect, either from the scene or from firearms that we recover and then test fire, are loaded into that system, 3D modeled, and those scans are compared so we can link crimes together. Again, this is just an example of how one piece of technology supports another piece of technology, in this case very directly. We saw the evidence we collected, the amount of bullet casings that we collected substantially increase after we expanded our ShotSpotter coverage. And so that just gives us another investigative tool to link crimes together, hopefully find leads across multiple cases that can help us solve them. Next slide, please.
Questions?
And that is the end of our, questions.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, through the chair. I have a question, and I hope I'm remembering this correctly. I believe it was like this around this time last year, there was some reports that the company that we contract with for ShotSpotter, they had like a leak, and there was some concern about whether or not there might be retaliation on the devices as a result of people knowing where they are. And so I just wanted to see if you could provide any update on whether or not there has been any material challenge as a result of the leak that occurred last year.
Great question.
Yeah, great. Through the chair, very good question. Yes, so the circumstances around that, my understanding is a former employee had saved a copy of a map layer that had a snapshot of sensors across the whole country and I think in other parts of the world as well. They released it. At that time, that was already 6 months old. It was quite out of date, and so sensors had in some cases been moved. I took a look at the website that posted it. And there was no public-facing version I could find that allowed you to zoom in beyond like the city level. So you couldn't actually see the exact locations. You could only really see the approximate locations. So we didn't see any direct retaliation or action taken against sensors during that time. Occasionally, a sensor will come down either because a car collision into the pole or other equipment, some kind of collapse. I'm aware of maybe 3 sensors that have come down in the whole time, but through our contract with ShotSpotter, right, there are processes in place to collect them and have them reinstalled.
Commissioner DeWash and then Commissioner Bernard.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes.
Yes, just noticed that on the shot spotter metrics, the periods for 24 and 23 are not the same. For 23, it's an 8-month period, and for 24, it's a 12-month period. Is that correct?
So on the weekly ShotSpotter alert slide, sorry, through the chair, on the weekly ShotSpotter alert slide, yes. So that is the yellow graph on the green background. That is correct. That is starting.
No, I'm actually looking at the
slide after that, the ShotSpotter metrics slide.
Yes.
So that is 12 months compared to 12 months. The full year compared to the full year.
Okay.
The only caveat for that, as I think you're seeing here, is that between January 1st and April 10th, we were in the process of expanding still, and so we didn't have that full 39 square miles during that time. So we started, at the beginning, right? That's why we didn't include it in the weekly comparison, because we would have less collected during that time. So there is a slight discrepancy in what we're comparing, but overall, I think it shows programmatically what we got out of that program, regardless of whether it was exactly consistent year to year.
Okay, so I'm sorry, through the chair, that clarifies my a question that I had, and I just want to highlight that the numbers are significantly lower in 24 as compared to 23. And if it were for an 8-month period, I was going to say it was really lower.
Yeah.
But what do you attribute that to, the significant lower numbers? Is it because of ShotSpotter?
I think ShotSpotter plays a very large role in that, right? I think it's important to think about everything in the context of our overall technology strategy, right? That includes license plate readers, Project Greenlight. Everything is thought about holistically so that we get the most out of it all. One technology is valuable. 2 technologies working together are more valuable. So ShotSpotter is definitely playing a role in that, and I think that's helping drive changes in behavior. I think people in those coverage areas are getting a sense that if they fire a gun, the police will show up, and so we would expect to see. And I think that substantial decrease in alerts and total rounds, leads us down that path of saying, we are seeing a change in behavior. People are firing guns less frequently in the city.
And through the chair, I just have to add too, it's another aspect of ShotSpotter alerts where the next day we actually send out officers with the little metal detector things and ATF as well to collect the shell casings. And so that creates a stir up in the neighborhood, and individuals who fired shots or folks who frequently fire shots in the neighborhood see that wrap around, and that has a tremendous deterrent effect as well. So you're seeing fewer alerts because it's changing culture and behavior in the neighborhoods.
Thank you.
Commissioner Bernard and then Commissioner Banks.
Just quickly, as I recall, the ShotSpotter contract was with a California company. I don't recall if it was bid. I don't think that it was. I don't know what the term of that contract is, but we would be interested in knowing that. It's about, as I recall, $6 or $7 million a year. But so if you can enlighten us on all of those issues, but what I wanted to ask you about is as I recall, when we started ShotSpotter, it was for the 9th precinct only. Now it's spread, and I would like to know what precincts it's in. That's number one. And is your plan to make it citywide?
Through the chair, I believe you're right. The total contract amount was about $7 million for the expansion.
For the 9th precinct?
No, for the total expansion, the most recent contract. I believe it's been some time, and I wasn't directly involved in the process, and except for the kind of planning and determining where the coverage area should be. I believe we bid it out both for the 2021. 8th and 9th precinct, and set up, and then also for we bid it out for the expansion as well. You may also remember back in 2014, there was a 1 square mile trial in the 9th precinct alone. That lasted about 18 months, no cost to the city, and then it went away. There wasn't really an interest. I think since then we saw a lot of other pieces in play for technology. DPD implemented a new records management system, a new dispatch system. We brought NIBIN here, and so there was a lot of other, we stood up the real-time crime center. There was a lot of other systems in place to support it. And so in 2021, when we brought it back, we had, I believe, 2 square miles in the 8th precinct and 4.5 square miles in the 9th precinct. That's when we really started to see a lot of success in terms of evidence collection. And some of you may remember the news within 24 hours, approximately, maybe 30 hours of launching it, we had identified a ghost gun manufacturing house in the 9th precinct, successfully set up surveillance, gotten a search warrant, raided it, and recovered a whole bunch of assault rifles and other firearms.
Through the chair.
Is it going citywide?
No.
So,
I'm sorry, Mr.
At this
Chief,
point,
I couldn't see you. So
At this point, I haven't had any conversations to indicate that it's going citywide. So we have to be very economically responsible, and so it's a pretty significant cost that goes along with it. And so we've identified the most, based off data, the neighborhoods where we were seeing the most homicides, non-fatal shootings, shots fired. And that's why we chose the 39 square miles roughly that we have. And of course, the city of Detroit is roughly 141 square miles. So at this particular point in time, as of right now, there's no conversation for it to go citywide.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Hernandez is present. Commissioner Banks, then DeWalsh.
I'm all set, thanks.
Okay.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify that we do have a report under tab 6, and it is by precinct, and the precinct for ShotSpotter, and the precincts that are not there are 1, 3, and 7. All of the other precincts have a report.
Yep.
So I assume those are the 3 that were not, that we don't have ShotSpotter.
Yep. Commissioner Bell.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
When we look at New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, especially New Year's Eve, we have a tremendous volume of gunshot. I would hope that you would, if ShotSpotter does not capture that, but 911 probably would receive that type of information. Could you look in terms of that, even pre-ShotSpotter concept? And also, we need to look at in terms of the gunfire decreasing, but we know that this is a violent society. Too many gun shootings. We've been very blessed that we didn't have a shooting this weekend, a fatal shooting. It's only good Lord put it in the mind people to not respond. What happened to ghost guns that we've been dealing with? Is there any feedback on that? And also reference to other devices trying to refute the technology process that's in place. We need perhaps a breakdown on the board in terms of the community concept. When you're talking about precinct in terms of they having serious, we need to identify that. We need to be informed. And also, if we can work together in terms of USE educational process, maybe we need to start a campaign in reference to dealing with USE because it's just totally out of control. I know in my neighborhood, I know in your neighborhood, it is still with us. And we just very fortunate what goes out don't come down and kill somebody. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly.
Through the chair, Commissioner Bell, you're absolutely right. We still capture it, and so the only reason you don't see the ShotSpotter data for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on here is it would have completely skewed everything. But ShotSpotter was still on. We just didn't choose to put it here so that you could actually see the trend line. But we still respond, and we still, for every one of those shots fired, we still did our wraparound and sent officers along with the metal detectors to all of those locations. And on New Year's Eve, our officers were out there, they were working, and as a result, you can even go back. We, off of one house over on the east side, on the porch, they were getting ready and prepared to shoot, and we got a whole arsenal off their front porch, officers in the 9th precinct, and so I could provide that for the board as well. But they're out there, they're working, and I do agree with you, starting earlier as to what we can do as far as the educational campaign, letting individuals know that through the Board of Police Commissioners, our community violence intervention, our interrupters, still pushing the narrative out that, hey, what goes up does come down, and there's consequences for firing a gun within the city limits. Yeah. And then also letting individuals know that, you know, if you're using a ghost gun or some other illegal firearm, or whether it's your legal firearm and you're shooting, expect the Detroit Police Department to come collect your shell casings, and we're going to put them in our NIBIN system, and many of those shell casings actually link to other crimes. So it's a treasure trove of good stuff that they leave behind for us to link to serious crimes.
Thank you so much, Chief, and great point. I will ask, what were the arrests for? Give us a breakdown for that, you know, in the future. And also, like, if it was a homicide, and then or whatever it was, and then how many lives were saved during the shot spotter, them responded to shot spotter? Because I know of a couple of occasions that you guys reported to us that they came in at the nick of time and they saved the lives. You know, so if there were some lives saved, I think that the community should hear about that as well, because we're saving lives in this process. That's worth, if we say one life, is worth the money. You know, so I think that you should detail that in the report as well.
Yeah, through the chair, it's a very good point, and we can work on a breakdown of what the arrest was for. In terms of saving a life, I think that gets a little more complicated in terms of, you know, timing, right? Would that person have died if we had not gotten there in time? Is a little hard to. Where do you draw the line? I do have.
If you have a victim that's there, could be possibly bleeding out, you know, and if you could. You know, I think that's vitally important. But finish, Commissioner Hernandez, then you can finish making your point.
Thank you. Through the chair, I would just, to go off that same point, maybe there's a preventative capture that could include some criteria. I know Chief just mentioned that there was a moment where shots were about to be fired. Maybe that's one of the criteria in terms of when the response time occurs, how quickly it is, and so forth. It would be important to capture more of a preventative sense.
Yes, sir. And through the chair, just to follow up. So, for example, for ShotSpotter alerts that were connected to a kind of serious RMS report. So in 2023, we had 149 RMS reports for either homicide, aggravated assault, or non-fatal shooting. So that means shots were fired towards the person, whether they took effect or not.
Right.
About those 149 that I'm talking to did not have corresponding 911 calls linked in our dispatch system. It was about 30% of total reports, and the same, it was about 30% in 2024. So some sense of there are, 30% of incidents connected to ShotSpotter alerts in the last 2 years where shots were fired towards an individual were not also reported to 911.
I think that's vitally important, you know, those numbers, because more than likely some lives were saved there. Yeah. Yep. All right. Sure. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, I guess I have a question for the gentleman at the podium. Is that we would like to know what's the return on the investment of the Detroit ShotSpotter program. We know that this is a very pricely tool that the city is using. Especially when it comes to alerts, gunfire alerts. How many people are arrested? How many guns are confiscated? I mean, we have to be able to measure this tool some type of way to see what type of investment is the city's getting for its dollars. I look at cities that pushed away from ShotSpotter, which would be Chicago, February of 2024, Fall Springs, Massachusetts, Charleston, North Carolina, Dayton, Ohio, which is 3 hours away from here, Durham, North Carolina, San Antonio, Texas, and the list goes on. But it'd be nice if we could see what the ROI is, especially how much this price tag is costing us.
Yep. Yeah. I want to definitely explain, and through the chair with the report, Mr. Reverend Blunt raised this as well, as far as wanting to know the number of arrests that ShotSpotter alerts read to. And so with this report, it states that arrests connected to ShotSpotter alerts for 2024, it was 373, and in 2023 it was 401. And so that gives the number of arrests. And as we detail out our reports, giving more specific information, we can look for other ways to articulate and show return on investment, the ROI. So to your point, Commissioner Burton, thank you for that. And then looking to, based off the 911 calls, or the lack of 911 calls in many cases, but for ShotSpotter alert, the police are there timely in finding a victim, getting EMS there and getting individuals to the hospital, actually saving lives. So it has an effect where we're able to get there, save lives, and also in many cases arrest perpetrators and deal with the situation where citizens would not have normally called 911.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Smith had a question.
Yes, through the chair. I was just in response to my experience with ShotSpotter. So I'm a community engagement specialist with Ceasefire Detroit, which is in partnership with DPD. And back in 2022, I reported of an incident that we responded to, and that was with the department responding to the ShotSpotter going off and finding a home that had been shot up, and a woman had been critically injured who had been shot twice in the head and once in the abdomen. Medics came and transported her to the hospital, and her life was saved because of ShotSpotter. Had the ShotSpotter not went off, they would not have even responded to see that a woman was near fatally injured. So that is with my evidence and my proof of just being a responding first responder to that scene.
Okay, thank you.
Just one final note on that. Mother Bernice, who's sitting right there, showed me her car. I did not, what you said earlier is true. What goes up does come down, because there was a bullet hole in the hood of her car that was from, you told me, I think it was New Year's Eve or something, you came out and there was a bullet hole in your car, and because the shot went up, came down. So it really penetrates steel as well, the bullets do.
Yep. All right. Thank you very kindly. All right. Going to the budget presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Honorable Board, Chief Bedison. The reports that were submitted to the board are part of the quarterly presentation of the budget versus actual from the Department of Finance through the Chief's office. And the first slide, next slide, please, shows the reports that are submitted to the board, that are the budget versus actual for Q2 for all the funds, then the general fund Q2 budget versus actual revenues and expenditures, vehicle purchase report, capital expenditure report, and then the last one, grant activity report. Next slide, please. This report shows the budget and the actual for the quarter of all the funds. And as you know, the police budget includes 4 major funds. It's the general fund, the largest one, forfeiture fund, the grant revenue fund, and then special revenue fund that includes the toll fund together with the 911 fund. As you can see from the slide, the budget for the general fund for the second quarter ending December 31st, 2024 was $18.1 million, and the actual was almost on the money, $18.1 million, only a small variance of minus 0.3%. Forfeiture fund, again, the budget was $297,000, rounded up, and the actual was $273,000, a little bit below the budget. Grant revenue fund is the one that we missed the actual compared to the budget, and the explanation for that, so from $1.9 million we brought in only $26,000, is the timing of the recording of the grant revenue for the police department. Then special revenue funds, as I indicated, is the tow fund plus the E911 fund. We budgeted $2.3 million, and we brought in $2.8 million, consisting mainly of the increased, little bit increase in toll revenue. Then on the expenditure side, the general fund was $3.9 million, almost $4 million below budget. And again, we do expect at the end of the year to finish the year within the budget, however, not at the surplus that you see at the end of 6 months. And for the board, again, I want to emphasize the fact that this presentation or these numbers represent half point through the year, so 6 months out of 12. Therefore, this is a good indication where the police department stands budget-wise. The other funds, again, are not a concern of forfeiture fund, grant fund, and the toll plus 911 fund, all of them doing or staying within the budget while supporting the operations of the police department. Next slide, please. This slide shows the revenues that we are expected to receive. Just the general fund now. The general fund comprises of 3 major revenue sources. It's the municipal income tax, utility users tax, and other revenue that are the toll revenue and the special events combined with the secondary employment. We expected to receive, or we had budgeted, we received $18 million for the 3 months, and the whole year we expect to receive $92 million. So we received close to 20% of the revenues during the quarter. Salaries and wages, in the middle of the slide, we spent $86.8 million salary, wages, and overtime, and for the whole year we have budgeted $314 million in that regard. So we are a little bit over 2% over the budget amount for the quarter. Then you can see down the line, employee benefits, contractual services, operating supplies, operating services, capital equipment, and other expenses, all of them very much staying within the budget confinements. Next slide, please. This is a detailed slide, and for the public, this is not it's too small print, but I just want to let you know that this is a more detail of the previous slides that shows details of what the municipal income tax, utility users tax, sales and charges for services, license permits and inspection charges, fines, forfeiture, and penalties, coupled with the revenues from use of the assets. And again, those are a lot of details. The information has been provided to the board, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have in that regard. Next slide, please. While the previous slide was the revenues, this slide, again, has the details of expenditures, and the expenditures are broken down by salaries, overtime for the non-uniform, police uniform, employee benefits, and all the operation services for the police department, from contractual services to medical expenses and professional services, the way that they are budgeted and what the actual amount was. Next slide, please. This is a continuation of the previous slide. We continue with the other services such as operating supplies, operating services, capital equipment, and other expenses, including training. Next slide, please. The following, this slide shows a vehicle purchase report. The total of vehicles that were purchased during the for the months of October, November, and December. there were 37 vehicles, and the slide has them broken down by type and the type of vehicle and the month that we purchased those vehicles. Next slide, please. This slide shows the improvements, capital improvements, and repair and maintenance that we did during the months of October, November, and December, and broken down by location and by the amount. The total amount for the quarter was we spent $316,000 among all the locations that DPD has operations or operates in those buildings. The next to last slide shows the grant activity report. There were only 2 new grants that started during the second quarter of fiscal year 2025, and one of them was overtime traffic enforcement in the amount of $159,250, and the other one was MCOL's community policing comparative grant in the amount of $326,295,000. The grants underneath that are the grants that were utilized during the quarter, but they did not initiate, they did not start during that quarter, rather that they are continuation of the previous quarters prior to the second quarter 2025. And with that slide, Honorable Chair, I conclude my presentation, and I would be happy to answer any questions on behalf of DPD that you may have.
Do Commissioner DeWash and any other commissioner have any questions? Commissioner DeWash.
Oh, why don't they ask? I'll ask mine last.
Ladies.
Okay. All right. So the question, thank you, through the chair. So the question I have is, you mentioned that we're 50% 6 months into the year, the fiscal year. And I'm looking at, for instance, total revenues for the second quarter, which is the municipal utility and other revenue, that page.
Yes.
And it's 18 million, 18.1 million. And our annual budget is 92.8 million.
Yes.
And it only represents 20%, even though we're at 50% of the year. So is that timing? Are we going to achieve,
Yes.
the 100% of our budget?
Through the chair, that's a really good question. And the revenues, although we stood at 20% for the quarter, most of the revenues are time sensitive, meaning that, for example, income tax, that police department gets a portion of the overall city's income tax. Most of that comes in the months of March and April, as you know, when we file the income taxes. Therefore, not much is happening in that regard during the months of October, November, December. Same thing with the utility users tax. We receive a portion of the utility expenditures in the city of Detroit, but as you know that the heaviest months are January, February, and March, which are the coldest, and therefore, in short, to answer your question is that there is a timing lag, but we fully expect to receive $92 million as we have budgeted for the fiscal year.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Presley, then Commissioner Bernard.
Thank you. Through the chair. My question is, again, relative to the grant revenue. You said that the shortage is really a part of the timing. And so I'm wondering whether or not we should have seen that in the first quarter, or should we expect to see that made up in the third quarter?
With the grants, and again, that's another good question. The way that the accounting rules work is that we do book them as they come in. And usually with the grants, we square up, we reconcile at the end of June, truly. So the report that I will give you at the end of June will be the more accurate report. However, as we move up and down throughout the year, the grants, we book them the way they come, the way that we expense them. Therefore, to be more succinct on that point is that I found out, because it kind of drew my attention as well, that we had made a journal entry to book some of the expenditures in the previous year to make sure that we utilize fully the grants. Therefore, that negative expenditure that we took money out from the second quarter and put it in the 2024 year took that amount down. Therefore, in the next quarter, you expect me to give you a fuller and better picture of the grant revenue as you expect.
Okay, thank you for that. And a follow-up to that, in trying to understand these two allocations, because again, the actual for the second quarter in grants is $26,000, but the new grant started in the second quarter amounts to about, about $600,000? So is that captured in a different area?
The new grants, that the information I gave you indicates the amount that we're authorized and we signed the contract to spend. Doesn't mean that we spent or started spending those. We are approved. You approved them, the chief approved them, the city council approved them, but it does not indicate, the report I gave you doesn't have the actual expenditure.
Yeah, but I'm talking about why it's not captured in the revenue.
Because we don't get the money until we start spending.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bernard.
Just quickly, thank you for your report. I'm sorry, thank you for your report. According to the general fund, about 62% of the revenue for the department goes for personnel-related costs. That's higher than it used to be, and I'd just like to, I know we've done some hiring and so forth, but obviously personnel and benefits are the largest part of generally any budget, but to go from like 50-some% to 50% to 62% is a leap. But my second question is, and it's even more important than that one, and that is, what are we going to do? What percentage, in your opinion, of our budget is federal grants? And as federal grants decrease, probably in the next year, how do you see us being able to pay all of this money and absorb the expenses related to this budget, considering the fact that there's no major tax increase for Detroit residents being projected?
I'll start by answering the second question first, if I may, through the chair. Luckily, or fortunately, the Detroit Police Department's budget does not depend heavily on the grants. And we know that lately the situation with the grants being withheld from the federal government coming down, whatnot, Detroit Police Department is built to operate without being much dependent on the grants of the federal government, state, or otherwise. Therefore, as you know, the Detroit Police Department is approximately $450 million, and the grants that we expect to receive in any given year is anywhere from $7 to $8 million. So that tells you that again, we are not dependent. We appreciate and we make the best use of them, but Chief Bedison's department does not again, depend operating on those. Chief?
And through the chair, one of the things that we're doing also, Commissioner, is with our Public Safety Trust Fund, 4605, 4606, we expect.
Say it one more time.
4605, 4606.
And one more time.
4605, 4606.
Okay.
More than likely, we're expecting it to come out of the state House of Representatives this week. That's what I've been told. And, if that happens and when it passes the state Senate, that'll be an additional $18 million to the city of Detroit approximately for public safety, which will benefit this department. And so that comes from state revenue sales tax. And it not only benefits the DPD, it's going to benefit other departments across the state of Michigan as well. Grand Rapids, roughly about $3 million. Lansing will get a share, Dearborn. And so I just wanted to emphasize that it's good for public safety across the state of Michigan, but Detroit get the lion's share.
Thank you.
Yep.
Through the chair, there was another question.
Okay.
The percentage of total funds versus the personnel. It's a known fact that the Detroit Police Department now is operating almost at full capacity, the department, and plus the contracts that were approved back in 2023. However, it is not that major increase. Police Department has always operated from 55. The personnel expenditures are from 55 anywhere to 62, 63% of the total budget.
Okay. Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Bell.
Thank you, through the chair. Just a quick question with regard to the appropriation amount that you talked about, Chief. I'm sorry, through the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Is that amount already factored into this budget? So it would be an amended budget. It would be an additional.
Yes, ma'am.
amount? Okay. And you said about 3 million?
18 million.
Oh, 18 million, okay. And then my other question, just real quick, under other revenue, what does that incorporate, what does that include, other revenue?
The other revenue consists of the special events that the city of Detroit sends the personnel, and then we recoup the money, the secondary employment fees that we charge, the auction of the abandoned vehicles is there, and the fees we receive, general fund receives a portion of the towing fees from towing operations goes into general fund, approximately $900,000 to $1 million a year.
Okay. Commissioner Bell?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We approved the budget, and from there, the mayor approved the budget and give a final budget to the council. They are the final authority. Marco, can you come back, arrange with the secretary to come back to this board to highlight areas that have an impact in terms of what we submitted and the changes that you have? Might be significant, might be insignificant, I don't know, but I think we should have that opportunity to review that.
Through the chair, and upon the desire of the Chief Bedison, when the City Council finally passes the budget, we'll make sure that those numbers are passed down to the board.
You said you could come back and report.
Yeah, through the chair, yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll serve at the pleasure of the board as well, so, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chief. And let me ask about the vehicles in the second precinct. Are we focusing? We have a lot of citizens calling in about that, and there has been some complaints about that. Are we getting vehicles there, or are there? I don't know what the situation is. I ain't the police, but you know.
Yeah, through the chair, I haven't heard that, and so let's never know something I don't.
No, Chief. The numbers I presented represent the numbers that we vehicles purchased in the second quarter. So that's
so they've been purchased in the second quarter.
Those vehicles that I showed on the.
Okay. All right. Thank you very kindly, and as well as the 9th precinct, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's the only question I had. There's nothing further. Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you, through the chair. I may toe a very fine line with what I'm going to ask, but is there any work underway from a budget perspective regarding any potential reductions in budget, whether it be grants, revenue, otherwise, based on lingering executive orders at the federal level for law enforcement? I'm thinking of the ripple effect it could potentially have even on what I call points of access for officers, partnerships like Cleary, partnerships like Wayne State. Are we going to lose any kind of funding, and is there any kind of work to even interpret the potential of that?
The short answer is no.
Through the chair, we have no indications at this point, but as soon as I become aware, if I hear anything, I'll make this board aware.
So long as Detroiters can pay their taxes, you have a budget.
Yes, sir.
Because this is mostly taxpayer dollars, and then this is a reason why we answer to the public, you know, because this is their money. Most of that $450 million comes from the citizens of the city of Detroit, and we appreciate that our citizens contributing and making sure that we have a police department. Commissioner Burton, and then we'll move on because we have some closed door sessions that are vitally important.
I have a couple of questions, and I'll be short and brief on this.
Yes, sir.
I love to see more dollars put into helping to find missing persons here in the city of Detroit. I love to see more dollars added to traffic enforcement unit as well. And I just, I don't know where would it be coming from in this particular budget, or where should I look, but I also like to see dollars in telephone crime reporting. I'd love to see dollars in those areas where we can beef up the missing person unit and get more, officers and civilians working in that office, as well as traffic enforcement. I have not heard any discussions about harbor masters about how many dollars probably was awarded over the years for Harbor Master, but I don't know how they looking on funding. I think DTE, I think probably help funds the mounted unit patrol. These are different divisions. I would love to see additional dollars go to those departments as well, because of the hard work those men and women in those divisions and what they bring to this department and to the great city of Detroit.
Okay, all right, that's duly noted, right, Chief?
Through the chair, yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Burton.
Yep, all right. What is the pleasure of the board?
Go into closed session.
Can you read it off for us?
I move that we go into closed session pursuant Section 8A of the Open Meetings Act,
8F.
MCL 15-268. The department requests for the board to consider administration leave without pay.
No.
Without pay?
Someone take it out. He don't have his glasses on.
I think you should call for unfinished business. Maybe that'll help.
Unfinished business, okay. Unfinished business.
You were reading a new business. Under unfinished business, through the chair.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I move that we move to closed session pursuant to Section 8F of the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268F, candidate Charles Bonner for the board to consider disqualified applicant appeal for the DPD hiring process.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley, second by Commissioner Hernandez to go into closed session to consider disqualified applicant appeal from DPD hiring process. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. This is a 3.5-minute recess.
Chair.
Today is March 6, 2025. It's 5:17. The Board of Police Commission is called back to order. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Woods,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Bernard,
Present.
Commissioner Banks,
Present.
Commissioner Bell,
Present.
Commissioner Burton,
Present.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Moore is excused. Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Presley.
Here.
Commissioner DeWalsh.
Here.
10 present, sir.
There's a quorum. What is the pleasure of the board?
Go back into open session.
We're in open.
We're in open session. Yes, sir.
Through the chair, I move that we grant the applicant appeal for candidate Charles Bonner to move forward in the DPD hiring process.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley and second by Commissioner Bernard to grant the appeal. All in.
Are you ready for the question?
Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would think we would need clarification on the certification process from the
I
state.
think it has anything to do with it.
We didn't
Yeah.
get, they said they're
I think we have to be careful because it was a closed door matter.
saying, I think we need some clarification on that issue.
We don't need it.
Okay.
It's
All
not-
right. The motion. Any more further discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just want to be clear that granting the opportunity to move forward in the hiring process does not mean that the candidate will be hired. Again, it just provides him the opportunity to move forward in the process.
Yep. All right. Any more discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Voice it.
Aye. Opposed?
You're going to vote opposed, Commissioners. Please say no.
No.
Thank you, sir.
No.
Okay. All right. The ayes have it. Let's go to what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion adopted, please.
Motion is adopted. Congratulations, young man. Have a blessed day. Yes.
I move that we enter into closed session pursuant to Section 8A of the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.268A, the department's request for the board to consider administrative leave without pay but with medical benefits for Police Officer Earl Anderson, Badge 31, assigned to the 5th Precinct.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley and second by Commissioner Hernandez to go into closed session. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. This is a 2-minute recess. Back in open session. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Woods,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Bernard,
Present.
Commissioner Banks,
Present.
Commissioner Bell,
Present.
Commissioner Burton,
Present.
Commissioner Carter. Commissioner Moore is excused. Commissioner Hernandez.
Present.
Commissioner Presley.
Here.
Commissioner DeWalsh.
Present.
10 present, sir.
We have a quorum. What's the pleasure of the board? Yes, sir.
I move that we accept the department's recommendation to suspend Police Officer Earl Anderson, badge number 31, with administrative leave without pay but with medical benefits.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Presley to accept a DPD recommendation to suspend Officer Earl Anderson without pay but with medical benefits, and second by Commissioner Hernandez.
Are you ready for the question?
Are you ready for the question? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. All right. The next new business I will ask something very pressing. Commander Parrish, if you come to the podium right quick to asked of us as it relates to some special orders that's coming up immediately to be addressed. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. As this board's aware, I'm working with planning to update our policies as part of our accreditation efforts and our efforts just to get all special orders transformed into policies as soon as possible. Planning has submitted over a dozen policies to the board within the last 4 to 6 weeks. We're going to be sending a lot more. However, we have a number of special orders that are coming up on expiration on March the 25th this year. We would like the board's support in extending those special orders for a period of 60 days to give us time to complete the process of transitioning them from special orders, which are designed to be temporary in nature, to directives. This will give us time to do the research we need to submit a good directive to the board. It'll also give the board staff enough time, the time that it needs to communicate with the community and stakeholders to make sure that what we're presenting fits within the community that we're serving. So if we could ask that of the board for its support in that endeavor, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, and I was just say that Commissioner Bernard and Commissioner DeWalsh and the Policy Committee and Policy Manager has been doing a powerful job in updating these policies, and it's been a heavy lift because every policy of the Detroit Police Department is being reviewed. We're sending them out to the ACLU, excuse me, University of Michigan, and a number of places. Yes.
My apologies for interrupting you. This item is not on the agenda?
No, it's new business though.
So I also have a clarifying question. So is this different than the motion to adopt the use of force policy directive?
Yeah, it's different.
Okay.
Yep, this is different. This is all new business because
If you would, Mr. Chairman, if you would announce that under new business, we are adding the request to extend special
the new business, we are adding the request
to extend
special orders
For 60 days.
for 60 days.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Keep me right.
Commissioners, he needs to put what special orders that he's wanting.
We have the special order.
They would be all special orders set to expire March the 25th.
All special orders that are due to expire on March 26th.
25th.
25th.
And through the chair?
Yes.
Again, do we have a list of what those are? I recognize that there probably are many, but I think it's important that we at least are looking at something so nothing slips through our
I can have somebody from planning bring down a list. If that
Well,
would be
then we'll have to deal with it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
if I may,
Yeah.
this did not come up at our policy meeting Tuesday, right in this room. You didn't ask the committee if, in fact, they would endorse the extension. We only agreed on one policy for today's vote, and that was the use of force. So clearly, we're blindsided by this right now, and we can certainly address it at the next committee meeting.
Well, this will require immediate action because if it don't, then they have the special orders will happen and they will last a year. And so then we don't have time. We won't have that ability to review the policy. We don't want that to happen.
Point of clarification, can you say that again? If we don't approve them today, you said the special.
Not today, but, I think you got a grace period for at least another week. And so that you can have that discussion with.
Well, if he wants a
Commander
special
Ferris.
policy committee meeting, I can ask the members to see if we can do that, but to
Okay,
spring it
well-
on us at this meeting
Through the
is
chair.
not appropriate.
Yes.
Is the department asking just to extend what we already have until
We are able to update the policies.
we're able to update the policies? That's what they're asking?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a reasonable request. It's not, and it's something that's needed very much, but I'm happy for you guys to discuss it throughout the week, and we can extend this to next
And
week.
we can also be prepared to respond to which special orders,
Because
which
we
is
would
the
need
other
the
part.
list anyway.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman,
Yeah.
it
yeah.
is the parliamentarians' advice that this matter be referred to the policy committee and that they report back at next week's meeting.
Abracadabra. What she said. It would.
We'll do it.
Not, we
Is that
need.
okay with you?
No. We're not.
We're agreeing to-
Hold on.
So through the chair, I need to know what is the elapsing date on the special orders? What's the absolute deadline that we have to extend them?
The absolute deadline is March 25th. The department could always issue new special orders. However, as the chairman indicated, what we want is, because we're working with the board so closely on transitioning these special orders into directives, we want the board's support. So Commissioner Bernard, I'm not trying to blindside the board, just the opposite. I'm here making the request out of a concern of transparency, so that we're not doing something without the board's support and knowledge. And I have absolutely no issue coming back next week or coming to the policy committee on Tuesday.
We'll meet Tuesday, and that's out of our schedule, but we can have a special meeting to address it, and we can answer your question.
I'm not referring this to the policy committee, but I'm happy for the policy committee, if they can, to take it up. And if not, this would be a board action to be able to get this done. So I don't know what the schedule of everyone in that
Just talk.
regard.
It's you, me, and DeWash. Bert.
Commissioners, the
I
next policy meeting is March 18th.
I'm sorry?
The next policy meeting is March
I
18th.
believe the chair indicated that they would have a special meeting
No, it's every
this
2 weeks.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we can have a special meeting.
Yeah, hopefully we can, based upon people's schedules, So if we can get that done, I'm happy to just get it addressed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
parliamentarian is concerned that this not be left up in the air. Either it needs to be referred to the policy committee with a date certain by which they report back, or you need to postpone it to next Thursday and ask that additional information be provided. But at this point, I'm not hearing a definitive action plan.
Well, the definitive action plan is for him to give us a list, and once we get the list, we're gonna vote on it.
Through the chair.
Then that
Yes.
would be the motion to postpone, because now you
Okay.
can't just leave this item.
Yeah. We're not.
So it would be the motion to postpone to next week.
Because if he had the list right now, we'll be ready to move on it now.
No, because it
Yeah,
would,
yes.
Through the chair,
Yes.
on the behalf of Commissioner Bernard's subcommittee, which is the policy committee,
Yeah.
I'd like to move, with her permission, of course, that we move this line item to emergency meeting on the 11th, which will be next week, Tuesday, at the original time, 5 o'clock.
Point of order, there's already a committee meeting scheduled for that.
Budget committee meeting.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Hey, we postpone it. We postpone it. I make a motion.
Just for a point of clarity, though.
Yeah.
I mean, now a motion has been made, so you said that we
Hasn't
had to do
been seconded nor stated by
Okay, so
the
that's
chair,
what I'm
so there
confused
is no
about, whether or
motion
not
at
we
the
have to
time.
do anything. There was a matter that was brought up in new business where no motion was made. So
Right.
I'm confused about why we have to act on
We
anything.
don't.
Right.
We
Whether or
don't.
not it can just be on the agenda next week as
Right.
a result of whatever information is taken care of on our off time.
You have a matter that has been brought up and a request was made. What are you going to do with that item? Now, you could just say we're not through discussing it, and it can become unfinished business for next week. That is a third option, Mr. Commissioner. It would be cleaner if you just postpone it, and the reason the parliamentarian is saying that is that one of the reasons to postpone it is because you want additional information. And that's a valid reason for postponing a matter. However, there's more than one way to skin a cat. as your grandmother would say in so time.
Well, we want to have get up out of here.
So what would be the fastest thing is to just move to postpone to next week. The problem, and I know you want to lead, the problem from a parliamentary point of view
Okay.
is that if we had bylaws that told us what was the role of the policy committee, then it would be clear that if this was something that came under their purview, then you would have to refer it to them. But your bylaws don't talk about what these committees do. So that's why you have so many options.
Yeah, but that's, through the chair, that's why I wanted to
Let me-
avoid postponing or anything to provide the staff and the chair to be able to figure something out.
It ends up being the same thing, Mr. Commissioner. If you don't deal with it, then it goes on next week's agenda as unfinished business.
Yep, or he could schedule the policy committee meeting and then we are made aware that it's been referred to the policy
You
committee.
need to do one or the other.
And I'm saying, I don't think that we have the information now to be able to make that statement and lock us into what we have to do next week. And so I'm just saying, if we move on nothing, just because we just received information under new business as a point of receiving information, it allows the chair, the secretary, and the committee chair to figure out whatever needs to
If you
happen.
do nothing, it automatically goes under unfinished business
Yeah, but
for
I think
next
that's
week.
sufficient.
Okay. All right, we do nothing. All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, so just for clarity, so does that include this motion to adopt the use of force directive, which apparently the policy committee was aware of?
If you do nothing, it also will go under unfinished business for next
No,
week.
I'm saying this on the agenda right now, so I'm asking, because a motion for adjournment was getting ready to be called, and I'm saying, are we going to handle this matter?
Yeah, we're going to handle that.
Okay.
matter, for sure. So that goes to the policy chair. Let's resolve that.
Take one.
Huh?
Take one copy.
Oh, let's take one. Okay. Oh, myself.
Mr. Chairman, are we still on the new business?
I believe so. Yes.
This is your new business?
Yeah.
I'm circulating a memo concerning the board secretary. There's a charter mandate and there's a bylaw mandate. I think I would request in 2 weeks from now to have a closed session in reference to that particular item. I just want to, hopefully, you had opportunity to review the concerns of the charter and the bylaw in terms of, we hired a new secretary, as you well know, and we change leadership every year, which is unusual for leadership, but we change every year. So I think we need to be consistent in terms of the board secretary, understand her duty fully, because we went from a two-person staff to several folks now? So it's a whole concern about the duties and responsibility of the board secretary as being the chief administration officer day-to-day of this board. It is not the leadership, it's the board secretary. And that spelled that out. So I would bring forth a motion to have that closed session in 2 weeks from now.
Mr. Chairman, I would defer to the attorney, but I believe the Open Meetings Act requires that if a personnel matter is going to be discussed in closed session, it has to be at the request of the employee.
That is correct.
Yes, and we'll make that clear. And I don't know where this come from, but you know we've been doing great, you know. But the fact of the matter is that the secretary answered to this board, and she get instructions from this board, you know. So, but that's a mute issue.
Through
Madam
the chair.
Yes.
I think it would be appropriate to send this, given that we're all just reading this for the first time and had no prior knowledge of this. It seems appropriate that this would be referred over to the policy or personnel and training committee.
Absolutely.
For initial
Referred.
review and then.
Referred.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
The use of force policy.
Yeah. It's on you.
I'm sorry. By direction of the Policy Committee, I move to adopt Section 304.2, Use of Force Policy Directive, as recommended by the Policy Committee on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025.
Support.
Motion made.
Required.
Motion made to, well, by direction of the Policy Committee. Amen. Where my paperwork at?
Are you ready for the question?
Are you ready for the question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion is carried. What is the pleasure of this board?
Adjournment.
Businesses. I have something for new business.
A motion made by Commissioner Banks to adjourn.
But we still on.
Oh, hold on. You get
It wasn't seconded though, Mr. Chair.
supported by Lisa Carter.
Oh, it was, oh, yeah, okay.
Discussion. Any
It's not discussion, but you pause in case it would be any one of 6 things that can be done.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn has been made but not pronounced.
Okay.
So the question would be for the Commissioner Burton, for what reason does he seek recognition?
Yeah, for what reason you seek recognition?
I wanted to make a motion at this time, Mr. Chair. Something I raised earlier during today's meeting, that I'd like to see some form of tribute given to the men and women that went out to Southwest Detroit during the broken water main break.
New
or whatever.
business is an item that can be brought up when the motion to adjourn has been made but not pronounced.
You say it is an item?
Needs to make a motion at this time.
So I like to move that the board do a tribute to the SRT Harbor Master 4th Precinct for the work that they've been doing, service in Southwest Detroit, helping families evacuate from their homes into safety.
Second.
Okay, motion made to
Amend for the fire department as well, please.
And the fire department as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Motion made by Commissioner Burton to give a tribute to the 4th Precinct and to whoever he deemed fit.
SRT,
yep.
Harbor Master, 4th Precinct.
You making a note of that, Madam Secretary?
Fire department.
The fire department, and also the Honorable Tyrone Carter, State Rep for Southwest Detroit, him and his wife for the work that they're doing.
That had nothing to do with anything. I'll actually
have a lot to do with it.
I'll actually ask that we amend the motion for a draft to be submitted for review, because we're not going to blanket approve random individuals being a part of this. I was boots on the ground there, literally my neighborhood. And if anyone's going to speak to this, it's going to be me. So out of respect for that, I would suggest that we have a draft, not anything else. This isn't for fun and games and show.
Right.
We're not going to provide support to anyone, any individual. It's for a community, and if we do it, we have to do it the right way. If there's any opposition to that, I can't help you.
To the chair.
Have a motion?
My motion stands. I want to recognize the SRT, Harbor Master, 4th Precinct, the honorable work by the Honorable Tyrone Carter, and his wife, Lisa Carter, who's a member of this board. SRT, Harbor Master, 4th Precinct, those members from the department. I mentioned earlier today, I'd like to recognize the men, women in blue that represents this department. So the motion is to recognize, you know what, I like to amend the motion. I'd like to recognize the men and women of this department, men and women in blue of this department, SRT, Harbor Masters.
Commissioner Burton, can you do this for us?
I just amended the motion.
No, you're doing good. I'm saying, can you do this? Can you work with the secretary and get that drafted up? And so, because it's going to have to get approved by the board anyway. And I don't think you even need a motion for this, brother. If you could just get with the secretary, with whatever.
Sure, but I still like to put this on the record.
Right.
And I like this to be a motion.
You just put it on the record clearly. And we're saying if you give it to the secretary, draw this thing up, and you get it to us next week, I'm sure that you have the votes to get it done. That's an admirable thing that you're doing. And we appreciate your efforts in this regard and your passion in this. Because absolutely, there's no doubt that people did a lot of work from the mayor on down, the mayor of the city of Detroit, who sent tons of resources, and as well as the chief of police, if we're going to go that regard. But if that's what your pleasure is, can you work with us on this? All right, thank you. And so can you withdraw the motion, and we guarantee you work with this?
It doesn't have to be withdrawn because it was never stated by the chair.
Okay.
Or it does not exist.
All right. So the motion to adjourn is still on the floor, though, right?
Yes, sir.
And then it was second. Any discussion? We went through discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The
Mr.
motion
Chair.
is carried.
I
We got to get out.
I asked you before you hit
But it was
adjournment.
all convoluted, man. I'm in twilight zone right now. I need to eat some food.